All right, we're back. That was really good last episode when you're talking about biophilia, and I appreciate that. But I want to get back to like what we were talking about around the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so like COVID is a big consideration for wellness, and I would love for you to just talk a little bit more about that and maybe other things too.
So I think a lot of practitioners in my space have really gravitated towards this idea of wellness and design for wellness and well-being simply because, only because, but certainly the pandemic has heightened our sensitivity to it, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is, though, we're not living in a moment of a singular crisis. We're living in a moment of multiple crises, right? So what we have to balance is not just the design for the human well-being perspective, right?
Yeah.
But we also have to still design through energy efficiency, right? And I think a comprehensive approach, and this is what I like about the Foresight team, is they think through things holistically, and I think that's kind of like what I try to bring to design teams as early as possible, is that holistic systems level thinking, so we can try to find that additionality, to borrow a word earlier, about the value of different strategies speaking to different crises that we're in. So because we can't just design for wellness without thinking about climate change, right?
Certainly.
When you're opening out, like increasing your outdoor air intake, right, to improve the interior air quality, especially in Michigan, you have to either heat or condition that space almost year round. So there's like, you can't just use the outside air, you have to then have it spend energy to kind of condition that air so it's comfortable inside, right? And so it has an energy impact, right?
Yeah, so what you're saying is like if you could take 100% outdoor air and have really good air quality, but then you're also spending a ton of energy to get it hot or cold or dehumidified. Or you could say, no, we're going to be as efficient as possible, we're going to have no outdoor air. And then you kind of have not a good place for wellness in your building. That's an interesting tension that would probably be pretty hard to hold. Yeah,
so I find that you really need to kind of identify those tensions, right? And work to solutions with co-benefits in both those spaces, right? And so you can't just do like an isolated kind of attack on wellness without, like I said, thinking about energy. And you need like those people that understand that tension to make really informed decisions early in the process. So that's kind of what I try to bring through the integrative design process, is to identify those, but then also identify the folks that have the right kind of frameworks to help drive solutions.
Sure, I think that Bus liked what you were saying as well. But yeah, I think it's important to your point around like having the conversation, bringing that and explaining that and saying like, here's the trade-offs. You know, I think back to your superpower of realizing like this isn't like going to like I'm going to work as hard as I can to find exactly where we need to land here, and like walk on that journey with the customer to understand like there's trade-offs to what decisions you're making here, but let's intentionally make the decision instead of passively get decided. Cool.
Great.
All right, well, that's the end of this episode, and we'll talk to you next week.
Climate change as the two, right?
Right.
And the wellness focus is...
I got you. I'm primed. You got to go now.
Save it.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
business.
Put that in there so I look real rude.